came here today just to tell the truth. So hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
The entertainment world is in chaos right now, and the kind of chaos that makes you wonder just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Beyoncé, the queen of cool composure, the artist who has built an empire on her unmatched discipline and control, is reportedly taking steps to distance herself from none other than her husband, Jay-Z. And why? Because of a leak so explosive, so damaging, that it threatens to shake the very foundation of their billion-dollar brand.
Best of both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That swept that smooth under the rug.
Why?
It all started with that court evidence tied to Diddy's ongoing federal case. A treasure trove of compromising material was uncovered during Homeland Security raids on Diddy's properties, and now the fallout is unavoidable. We're talking about videos, testimonies, names we all know and recognize, names that were never supposed to see the light of day. And smack dab in the middle of it, Jay-Z and Beyoncé, the Carters, the power couple we've all idolized, now being dragged into a scandal that no amount of public relations spin can tidy up.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was sexually assaulted by both men.
Now, let's rewind for a second. This unraveling didn't just come out of nowhere. Diddy, who's been under intense scrutiny for months, has been accused of running the kind of empire that thrives behind closed doors and velvet curtains. Parties that weren't just parties. Guests who weren't just guests. And the whispers. They've been there for years about what really happened at these gatherings, about who attended, about who knew. But whispers are one thing, evidence is another. And when federal agents raided Diddy's properties, they found something no one could have prepared for. Not just proof of Diddy's alleged actions, but a trail that leads straight to others. Others like Jay-Z. The allegations are staggering. They claim that Diddy's infamous party circuit wasn't just a place for high-profile networking or harmless excess. No, these gatherings allegedly operated on a whole different level, one that involved manipulation, coercion, and calculated control. What's worse, the rumors suggest that those who attended, celebrities, moguls, influencers, weren't just innocent bystanders. Some were complicit, others turned a blind eye, and a select few, well, they may have been far more involved than they'd ever admit. Which brings us to Jay-Z. His name has popped up repeatedly in the court documents and leaked footage, tying him to events that prosecutors are now dissecting with a fine-tooth comb. Security logs place him at multiple gatherings hosted by Diddy, gatherings that are now under federal investigation. Witnesses, former employees, bodyguards, even party goers have come forward to testify that Jay-Z wasn't merely a passive attendee. These aren't just rumors anymore. They're statements under oath. And while the specifics of his role remain unclear, the very mention of his presence in these environments is enough to send shockwaves through his carefully curated image.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
And Beyoncé. Well, the whispers about her have been quieter, more speculative, but equally damaging. Jaguar Wright, the R&B singer turned industry whistleblower, has been making the rounds, dropping bombshells that implicate Beyoncé in ways no one saw coming. She's claimed that Beyoncé and Jay-Z aren't just a couple. They're a team that allegedly knew more than they ever let on. According to Wright, their relationship is less about love and more about strategy. A business arrangement, she calls it. A partnership built on mutual ambition, not mutual affection. And now, with the walls closing in, Beyoncé is reportedly making moves to secure her empire, even if it means leaving Jay-Z behind.
If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some keep getting?
Right.
Her first step, silence. For months, Beyoncé has remained uncharacteristically quiet, almost as if she's been waiting for the storm to pass. But now that the storm has reached her doorstep, her silence feels less like a strategy and more like a shield. Behind closed doors, insiders say she's been meeting with legal teams, plotting her next move. Damage control has become the priority, and the message is clear: protect the brand at all costs. Beyoncé's team is reportedly working overtime to distance her from Jay-Z's mounting legal troubles, drawing clear boundaries between their assets, their businesses, and their public images. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about protecting her money. This is about protecting her legacy. For years, Beyoncé has been the epitome of independence, a self-made icon who rose to the top through sheer talent and hard work. To be dragged down by association with Jay-Z's alleged missteps would be more than a financial blow. It would be a personal one. And let's not forget, Beyoncé has her own empire to think about. From her music and fashion ventures to her philanthropic efforts, she's built a brand that thrives on integrity and empowerment. To see that tarnished by rumors and allegations tied to her husband, unthinkable.
We intend to name people in these lawsuits. We're not going to do it in interviews. We're not going to do it, without doing our due diligence, because obviously, these types of allegations are.
But the court leaks don't care about legacies. They don't care about image. They care about the truth, or at least some version of it. And the truth, as it's being revealed in courtrooms and newsrooms, is messy. We're hearing about alleged recordings, tapes that show things no one was ever supposed to see. We're hearing about testimonies from employees who worked these parties, who claim they saw things that made them question everything. And while Jay-Z's legal team is doing everything in its power to discredit these accusations, the public perception is shifting. The cracks in the Carter dynasty are no longer invisible. They're glaring.
I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it. It's long. Where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
What's particularly damning are the reports that Jay-Z's involvement isn't just casual. Prosecutors have mentioned his name in connection with specific incidents that allegedly took place at Diddy's infamous gatherings. Security footage reportedly places him at key locations interacting with individuals who have since come forward as accusers. These aren't just random claims. They're backed by timestamps, logs, and witness statements. And while Jay-Z's team has been quick to dismiss these allegations as fabrications, the sheer volume of evidence is hard to ignore. And then there's Diddy, the man at the center of it all. Sources close to the investigation suggest that Diddy, in a desperate bid to save himself, has started cooperating with authorities. And what's his bargaining chip? Information. Information about the parties, about the guests, about what went on behind those closed doors. There's speculation that Diddy has handed over tapes, recordings that implicate not just himself, but others. And if the rumors are true, those tapes include footage of Jay-Z. The very idea is enough to send shockwaves through the industry.
Period. Okay, so last hour when we left off, you had asked me, did Tony Busby respond to Jay-Z?
Yes.
And he did. So he responded to...
But let's not overlook the personal stakes here. Beyoncé and Jay-Z have always been a package deal, the ultimate power couple. Their relationship has been scrutinized, dissected, and idolized. We've seen them weather storms before, infidelity rumors, elevator incidents, even public beefs with other celebrities. But this feels different. This isn't about personal drama. This is about legal battles, federal investigations, and reputations on the line. And while Beyoncé has managed to keep her image squeaky clean, the question remains, how much did she know? How complicit was she? And perhaps most importantly, how far is she willing to go to protect herself?
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because rape in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint, is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, raped her.
What's clear is that the narrative is shifting. Beyoncé is no longer just a wife standing by her husband. She's a businesswoman, a brand, a mother. And as the scandal unfolds, she's making it abundantly clear where her priorities lie. Insiders say she's been quietly restructuring her business dealings, ensuring that her personal brand is insulated from any fallout. She's reportedly cut ties with certain joint ventures, focusing instead on her solo projects. And while she hasn't made any public statements, her actions speak volumes. Jay-Z, on the other hand, is facing an uphill battle. His legal team is working overtime to discredit the allegations, but the court of public opinion is a tricky thing. For years, he's been the blueprint for success, the self-made billionaire who rose from the streets to the boardroom. But now, that narrative is being challenged. The question isn't just whether he's guilty. The question is what this scandal will do to his legacy, his empire, and his marriage.
So we've got actually some interesting stories. We're going to lead off with what's going on in that Jay-Z case, which we thought went away. We thought the woman who accused him of with Diddy after the VMAs, I believe back in 2000, had dismissed her case, and you thought it would just go away. It is not. It is.
And just when you think the story couldn't get darker, couldn't spiral further into chaos, the threads start to unravel in ways no one saw coming. Because this isn't just about Jay-Z. It isn't just about Beyoncé. it isn't even just about Diddy. This is about the entire house of cards, an intricate web of power, privilege, and secrets that these celebrities have built their empires on. And now, it's teetering dangerously close to collapse. The more you dig, the murkier it gets, and the more deeply entrenched these names seem to be in something far more disturbing than just bad press or a messy lawsuit.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
Let's start with the elephant in the room, the tapes. Yes, the now infamous recordings reportedly seized during the federal raids on Diddy's properties. What's on them? Who's in them? And more importantly, why do these tapes have the potential to bring down some of the most untouchable figures in entertainment? According to whispers from inside the investigation, these aren't just casual, grainy party videos. They're deliberate, calculated recordings, evidence, proof. Diddy, it seems, was meticulous, almost obsessive about documenting everything. Security cameras, hidden mix, even personal devices synced to capture moments that were never meant to leave those exclusive mansions and yachts. And now, those moments, the ones certain people would pay fortunes to erase, are in the hands of federal authorities.
Beaten on Cassie Ventura, you can only infer that the person that they're talking about as victim number one is Cassie Ventura.
And here's where it gets even messier. The claim that Diddy's so-called documentation wasn't just about control or leverage, but about insurance, a way to ensure loyalty. A way to ensure loyalty, silence dissent. The footage, reportedly, implicates not just Diddy himself, but multiple high-profile figures, including Jay-Z, in scenarios that are being described as deeply compromising. And while the full scope of what's on these tapes remains under wraps, insiders suggest that the material includes encounters, conversations, and interactions that could destroy reputations in an instant. For Jay-Z, whose brand is built on precision and power, the idea that even a shred of this footage could see the light of day is nothing short of catastrophic. But it's not just the tapes that are raising red flags. It's the testimonies. One by one, former employees, bodyguards, and even a few high-profile guests have begun to come forward, painting a picture of events that were far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. These weren't just lavish parties. They were meticulously orchestrated environments where every detail, who was present, what was served, how the night unfolded, was carefully controlled. And it wasn't just about indulgence or excess. It was about power, the kind of power that comes from knowing you can bend people to your will, the kind of power that thrives on secrecy.
I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it, it's long, where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
Jay-Z, according to some of these testimonies, wasn't merely a passive participant. He was a fixture, a regular, someone who knew the rules of the game and played along. And while his legal team has been quick to dismiss these claims as baseless, the sheer volume of accusations is impossible to ignore. From staff who claimed they were instructed to turn a blind eye, to guests who described feeling trapped in situations they couldn't escape, the stories paint a chilling picture of a world where boundaries didn't exist and consequences were a distant afterthought. And where was Beyoncé in all of this? That's the question on everyone's mind. Because while the public has long viewed her as a symbol of strength and independence, the details emerging from this scandal suggest a far more complicated reality. Insiders claim that Beyoncé was aware of Jay-Z's involvement in these circles, that she knew about the parties, the players, the unspoken rules, and yet she stayed silent. Was it loyalty? Fear? Or was it something else entirely? Something calculated, something strategic? Whatever the reason, her silence is no longer an option. Not when her name is being dragged into the headlines alongside her husband's. Not when her carefully curated image is at risk of being tarnished by association.
Is it really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over?
And let's not forget, Beyoncé has her own history with Diddy. The two have crossed paths countless times over the years, from award shows to joint ventures to private gatherings. While their relationship has always appeared professional on the surface, the leaks suggest a deeper, more complicated connection. Some have even speculated that Beyoncé's recent efforts to distance herself from Jay-Z are less about protecting her reputation and more about self-preservation, about cutting ties with a world she knows is on the brink of implosion. But here's where things take an even darker turn. Because it's not just Beyoncé and Jay-Z who are feeling the heat. Other names are starting to surface. Names that have long been synonymous with the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry. Jennifer Lopez, Usher, Meek Mill, all of them are being dragged into the conversation, their past connections to Diddy now under scrutiny. And while none of them have been directly implicated in the ongoing investigations, the very fact that their names are being mentioned is enough to raise eyebrows. Because in a world where perception is everything, even the slightest hint of impropriety can be devastating.
It's like a short win. It's really much more of a loss for the legal team of Jay-Z and Diddy.
Why would you say that? Because the judge was kind of harsh to Jay-Z and Diddy in her response?
Yeah, this is sort of like, you know, if a child asks you for something and you're trying to like teach them a lesson, you say, no, not right now. You know, go be good for a little while, then come back and ask me.
And then there's the legal battles. Behind the scenes, the courtroom drama is escalating at a breakneck pace. Jay-Z's legal team is pulling out all the stops, filing motion after motion to discredit the allegations and dismiss the case entirely, but the judge isn't having it. In a scathing ruling, she accused his lawyers of trying to manipulate the judicial process, of using aggressive, borderline unethical tactics to protect their client. And while Jay-Z has every right to defend himself, the optics of his legal strategy aren't doing him any favors. To the public, it looks like desperation, like a man who knows the walls are closing in. And what about Diddy, the man at the center of it all? While he's facing his own legal battles, there's growing speculation that he's using this moment to settle old scores. Some insiders believe that Diddy deliberately leaked certain pieces of evidence to authorities, not out of a sense of justice, but as a way to take down those he feels have betrayed him. If true, it's a move that's as calculated as it is ruthless. And it raises an uncomfortable question. How many other secrets is Diddy sitting on? How many other lives could he destroy with the flick of a switch?
And Busby is saying, I did that not because we want to shake you down, but because you tried to scare my client, so she wants to come out swinging too. She's not backing down.
As the scandal continues to unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This isn't just a story about individual wrongdoing. It's a story about an entire industry, a culture of excess and entitlement that has been allowed to flourish for far too long. And while the Carters may be the biggest names to get caught in the crossfire, they're unlikely to be the last. Because the leaks, the testimonies, the court battles, they're just the beginning. The cracks in the facade are widening, and it's only a matter of time before the whole thing comes crashing down. So where does this leave Beyoncé and Jay-Z? For now, they're still presenting a united front, at least publicly. But behind the scenes, the tension is palpable. Beyoncé, ever the strategist, is reportedly laying the groundwork for a potential separation, not just from Jay-Z, but from everything tied to his name. And Jay-Z, he's fighting to maintain control to keep his empire intact. But as the evidence mounts and the accusations multiply, even he must know that the odds are stacked against him.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact-finding.
And what about the rest of us? What are we supposed to make of all this? Is this the fall of an empire? The end of an era? Or is it just another chapter in the never-ending saga of celebrity scandal and intrigue? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The question isn't whether more revelations are humming, it's how much worse they're going to get. Let us know what you think down below, and I'll see you in the next one.